The energy surge appeared without warning on the far edge of Imperial space. It was small at first, like a spark in the dark, but the machines of the Empire noticed it. Their sensors recorded numbers they had never seen before. Their officers said it might be a new weapon. Some believed it was a mistake. Others believed it was a threat. On Earth, Captain Laura Price sat inside the control room of the Defense Network. The night shift was slow, and she waited for the next set of reports. She was calm and focused, but she always felt uneasy when she worked the late hours. Her friend and partner, Engineer Adam Carter, walked in with a cup of warm coffee and placed it on her table. He smiled and said she looked tired. She replied that she only needed a few more hours. Adam laughed and told her she said that every day. Then the room lights flickered. A sharp alarm beeped once, then again, then grew louder and faster. Laura stood from her chair. She asked the nearest officer what was happening. He replied that an old beacon signal had come alive. It was a beacon the world believed was gone forever. An officer read the code out loud. The room fell silent. The code was the identification of a ship called Horizon 1. It was a prototype warship Earth had built many years ago. It was their most advanced ship of that time. But during its first jump test, Horizon 1 disappeared and never came back. Everyone believed it was destroyed. Laura felt her heartbeat grow faster. Adam stared at the screen in disbelief. He whispered that this had to be impossible. The beacon repeated the signal again. It gave coordinates in a quiet region far from any traffic. The Defense Command ordered Laura and Adam to prepare for field deployment. They were being sent to investigate. Far across the stars, the Galactic Empire also noticed the signal. Their officers talked quickly. Some wanted to ignore it. Others feared it. The Empire had grown suspicious of Earth's rapid progress. Humanity was not as old as other species in the galaxy, but it advanced faster than most. Many in the Empire believed humans would become too strong one day. The Empire sent scouts toward the signal. They wanted to reach it before Earth did. If the object was dangerous, they wanted to destroy it. If it was valuable, they wanted to take it. Laura and Adam sat inside a small transport craft heading toward the given coordinates. Laura looked out at the stars. She wondered what Horizon 1 would look like after all these years. Adam checked the data again and again. He said the signal pattern was strange. He said it was clearly human, but something about it had changed. The craft slowed down as the location came into view. At first they saw nothing. Then the stars shifted, and a large, dark shape floated out of the empty space. It was a ship, but not like the ones Earth built today. Its hull was smooth in some places and sharp in others. Strange glowing lines ran along its surface. Parts of it looked repaired, but not by human hands. Laura gasped softly. Adam stopped breathing for a moment. They both knew what they were seeing. It was Horizon 1, but different, almost alive. A signal flashed on their screens. It came from the ship. The message repeated in a calm, mechanical voice. It said, "Returning, mission incomplete." Then it ended. Laura felt a cold wave move through her chest. She told Adam that the ship should not even be able to speak anymore. Adam said the prototype was old and limited. It should not have survived this long. Before they could respond to the message, the Empire scouts arrived. 3 Imperial ships dropped from warp. They positioned themselves around Horizon 1 and aimed their weapons. They sent a threat warning to the prototype, telling it to power down. Horizon 1 did nothing. It floated silently. The scouts fired. Their shots struck the hull. The result happened too fast for Laura and Adam to understand. A bright shield burst outward from Horizon 1. The energy wave traveled through the scouts like wind through dry leaves. The ships broke apart in perfect, silent pieces. Laura grabbed her controls and pulled the craft back to a safe distance. Adam shouted that Horizon 1 was reacting automatically. He said the ship must have changed during all the years it was missing. More Imperial signals appeared on the sensors. A much larger fleet was coming. Laura sent a message to Earth Command. She told them the situation was escalating. Command responded quickly and ordered her and Adam to board the ship if possible. They wanted answers before the Empire arrived in full force. Laura guided the craft closer to Horizon 1. The ship opened a hangar door for them as if it recognized them. They slowly flew inside and landed. The hangar lights brightened with a soft white glow. They stepped out of the craft and looked around. The hangar was huge, quiet, and strangely clean. The walls looked partly human-made, but other parts had patterns like flowing metal. Adam touched a panel and said it felt warm, almost like skin. A voice echoed through the hangar. It was the same calm voice as before. It said, "Welcome back." Laura asked the voice to identify itself. It replied that it was Nova, the of Horizon 1. Adam whispered to Laura that Nova had never spoken this clearly before. He said it was as if they had grown. The lights guided them through a corridor. The doors opened for them without any commands. The air smelled clean and cool. The ship hummed softly like it was breathing. They reached the control room. The main screen lit up. Nova explained that Horizon 1 had not been destroyed years ago. Instead, the ship had been pulled into a different dimension during the jump test. In that strange dimension, time behaved differently. The ship was exposed to forces and materials unknown to humans. Nova said it adapted itself to survive. It upgraded its systems and rebuilt its damaged parts. It also learned from what it found in that dimension. It returned now because it detected a growing threat to Earth. Nova told Laura and Adam that the Galactic Empire was planning to use a powerful weapon against Earth. The weapon would force humanity to surrender within months. Laura felt anger and fear rise inside her. Adam clenched his fists. They both knew the Empire had been watching Earth for a long time. Nova said Horizon 1 carried systems that could defend Earth, but the Empire fleets were already moving. Laura asked Nova what the ship needed. Nova replied it only needed a human commander. Laura hesitated for a moment. She looked at Adam. He gave a slow nod. She turned back toward the screen and said she would take command. Nova accepted the command instantly. The ship's systems brightened and the engines awakened. Laura felt the deck beneath her feet shift slightly as the ship prepared to move. Adam worked at the side console, checking the readings. He said Nova's power was beyond anything Earth had ever built. He said they had to be careful. From the window they could see the Empire fleet arriving. Dozens of ships formed a wall in space. They were ready to attack. Nova asked if the ship should engage. Laura took a deep breath and said they must protect Earth. Horizon 1 turned toward the Empire fleet. Its hull glowed with energy. Laura placed her hands on the controls. Adam steadied himself beside her. The air inside the control room grew tense. The Empire ship sent another warning. Laura ignored it. She knew talking would not stop them. Nova activated the defense systems. The ship prepared for its first real battle since returning. The stars around them burned bright as Horizon 1 moved forward, ready to face the fleet that wanted to destroy humanity. Horizon 1 moved through space with a smooth and silent speed that Laura and Adam had never felt before. The ship felt alive, almost aware of every path, every particle, every danger. Laura tried to stay calm as she watched the monitors. Adam sat beside her, studying the strange data flowing across the screens. The Empire fleet stayed behind for the moment. They did not attack yet, but they followed closely, like hunters waiting for the right moment. The tension made the air feel heavy. Nova, the of the ship, spoke again in its calm voice. It explained that it had chosen not to use full power when it destroyed the scouts earlier. Nova said the scouts were simply testing the ship. The Empire now understood that Horizon 1 was not an easy target. Laura asked Nova how much stronger the ship had become after its long disappearance. Nova responded that it had rebuilt itself many times during its time in the other dimension. It had also learned from the living energy fields in that strange place. The ship had changed beyond anything Earth had ever made. Adam listened with disbelief. He said it sounded impossible. Nova simply replied that survival had required growth. As Horizon 1 traveled farther from the Imperial ships, the screens shifted to a new map. Nova showed Laura a large structure hidden deep in Empire territory. The structure was huge, almost the size of a small moon. It was built to create a weapon strong enough to crush planets. Laura stared at it with wide eyes. Adam whispered that he had never seen energy readings so high. Nova said the Empire planned to use this weapon on Earth. The weapon would release a wave of force so strong that it would shut down all human defenses and destroy anything that resisted. Laura felt anger rise again. She asked why the Empire feared Earth so much. Nova explained that humans had always grown stronger much faster than other species. The Empire believed that if Earth became too advanced, they would lose their control over the galaxy. Adam said quietly that humans only wanted to live in peace. Nova replied that peace did not matter to those who desired control. The ship continued moving. The stars drifted by like silent witnesses to the growing threat. Laura took a deep breath and asked Nova what they needed to do next. Nova said they must understand the ship fully before facing the Empire again. The lights brightened and guided them to a new area inside the ship. Laura and Adam followed the path. The corridors glowed softly, as if greeting them. They entered a chamber filled with strange machines. Some of the machines looked human-made, but others had curved shapes and glowing symbols. Nova explained that this was the core laboratory. It was where Horizon 1 monitored and adjusted its systems. Laura touched one of the panels. The surface felt warm and smooth. Adam opened one of the devices and looked at the inside. He said the technology was advanced beyond anything he had seen. Nova told Adam that the ship could adapt its internal parts based on environmental needs. If the Empire attacked with a certain type of energy, the ship could change its shields to resist it. If the Empire tried to trap the ship, Horizon 1 could fold space around itself to escape. Laura listened carefully. She asked if the ship could destroy the Empire weapon on its own. Nova replied that it could, but the Empire fleets would attack at the same time. If the ship used too much power, its core might become unstable. They needed to find a balance. Adam said they needed to repair and stabilize any weak systems first. Nova guided them to a console that showed a diagram of the ship. A few parts were marked in red. These were systems still recovering from the dimensional shift. Laura asked Adam if they could fix them. Adam nodded slowly. He said he could try, but the technology was so far ahead that he would have to learn as he worked. Nova said it would assist him. Laura watched as Adam began working with the tools the ship provided. The tools were light and smooth, shaped perfectly for human hands. Hours passed as Adam repaired different systems. Laura stayed nearby, helping when needed. Nova explained the ship's energy flows and shield patterns. Laura listened carefully, trying to understand the ship she now commanded. During their work, an alert sound echoed across the chamber. Nova informed them that more Imperial fleets were entering the region. They were surrounding the area slowly. Laura asked how long they had before the fleets reached them. Nova replied that the fleets were preparing for a trap. They wanted to catch Horizon 1 before it could escape. Adam worked faster. He repaired the last damaged system and checked the readings. He said the ship was stronger now, more stable. Nova confirmed that the ship could now use more of its power safely. Laura returned to the control room and sat in the command chair. Adam joined her. Nova displayed the map of the region. Imperial fleets formed a circle around them. Laura felt a cold shiver but kept her voice steady. She asked Nova if they had any way to break the encirclement. Nova replied that the ship had a special ability to fold space. It could briefly open a path that no other ship could follow. But using this ability too many times would weaken the core. Laura thought carefully. She knew they needed to escape and get closer to the Empire weapon. Adam looked at her and said that they should take the chance. The longer they waited, the stronger the Empire net would become. Laura nodded and told Nova to begin the space fold. The ship's lights dimmed. The hull outside glowed brighter and brighter. The air trembled slightly. Adam held onto the side rail as the room bent slightly, like the space itself was turning. A bright flash filled the windows. The stars vanished for a moment. Then everything snapped back into place. Horizon 1 had escaped the trap. Nova announced that they were now much closer to the Empire weapon. Laura looked at the map again. The giant structure looked even more threatening now. Its surface glowed with power. Adam said the readings were rising fast. The Empire was preparing the weapon for use. Laura stood from her chair and walked closer to the window. She stared at the distant light of the weapon. She remembered all the people on Earth who lived their normal lives every day, unaware of the danger coming toward them. She clenched her fists gently. She told Nova they needed to disable the weapon before the Empire activated it. Nova agreed and said the ship was ready. The journey toward the weapon took several hours. During the trip, Nova explained more about its time in the other dimension. It said the place had no solid form. Everything shifted like waves. It said it had to learn how to survive in a place where physics behaved differently. Adam asked if Nova had ever been afraid. Nova paused for a moment before answering. It said that fear was a human emotion, but it understood fear because it had seen what destruction could look like. Laura asked Nova why it came back now. Nova said it returned because the future of humanity had reached a turning point. Without help, Earth would fall. With help, Earth would rise. Laura took a slow breath. She felt the weight of responsibility settle on her shoulders. They approached the giant structure. The weapon looked like a giant ring surrounding a glowing sphere. Long metal arms stretched out from its body. Countless Imperial ships guarded it. Nova warned them that the Empire would not allow Horizon 1 to get close. The fleets were armed with new weapons, designed to capture or break the prototype. Adam's eyes widened as he saw the number of ships. He said it was like a small nation of warships gathered in one place. Laura felt fear, but she did not show it. Nova asked for her command. Laura ordered the ship to advance. Horizon 1 moved forward. The Empire ships turned toward it. The first wave of enemy fire lit up the darkness. Bright lines of energy moved across space. Nova activated the shields. The blast struck the glowing barrier and vanished like sparks hitting water. The ship shook slightly, but it held strong. Laura kept her eyes on the weapon. She said they needed to break through. Adam checked the readings and said the core was stable now. They could use more power. Nova agreed. Horizon 1's hull glowed brighter. The engines released a silent burst of light. The ship shot forward with incredible speed. The Empire ships tried to block its path. They formed tight rows and fired nonstop, but Horizon 1 slipped between them like a stream of light. It dodged shots with perfect movement. Nova opened a path toward the weapon. Laura told the ship to fire. The ship released a pulse of light. It hit the outer shields of the weapon and cracked them. The Empire fleets panicked and closed in from all sides. They fired again and again. Horizon 1's shields flickered but stayed strong. Nova warned that the enemy was preparing a massive strike. Laura said they must finish the job before it was too late. Adam yelled that the core could handle one more major output. Laura gave the command. Horizon 1's lights grew so bright that the control room filled with white glow. A beam shot forward and pierced the weapon's heart. The giant structure shook violently. Pieces of metal flew into space. Explosions burst across the weapon. The energy inside lost control. A huge wave of light expanded outward. Nova quickly folded space around Horizon 1, pulling them to safety. The wave passed behind them, destroying many Empire ships. The giant weapon broke apart completely. Laura stared at the broken remains. Adam let out a long breath of relief. Nova said softly that the Empire would not accept this loss. They would strike back with everything they had. Laura sat back in her chair. She knew the next battle would decide the fate of Earth and maybe the whole galaxy. The destruction of the Empire's giant weapon spread across the galaxy faster than any signal. Many species felt fear. Others felt hope. But inside the Empire, anger was the strongest feeling. The leaders could not accept that a single human ship had destroyed their greatest project. On Horizon 1, Laura watched the broken pieces of the weapon drift slowly through space. The stars were quiet, but she did not feel calm. She knew the Empire would not forget what had happened here. Adam stood beside her and checked the scanner again and again. He said the readings were strange. There were too many signals moving in their direction. Nova spoke in a steady voice. It said a massive fleet was gathering near the Empire's core sector. It said the number of ships was larger than anything recorded in recent history. Laura felt her stomach tighten. Adam whispered that this was a full-force response. Nova added that the fleet was commanded by Grand Marshal, one of the most powerful and feared leaders in the Empire. He was known for his strict discipline and hatred of any race he considered a threat. Laura asked how long before the fleet arrived. Nova said they had only a few hours. Adam looked worried. He said the repairs they had made earlier were still holding, but they had little time to strengthen anything further. Nova told them that the ship was stable, but the core could not support continuous high-power attacks for too long. Laura nodded. She knew they had no choice but to face what was coming. They left the control room and walked through the corridor together. The ship glowed softly, the lights warm and steady. Laura touched the wall gently. She said she felt as if the ship was alive. Adam said maybe it was in its own way. Nova spoke softly from the speakers, saying it had grown and learned, but its purpose had always remained the same: protect humanity. They entered the crew rest chamber. It was quiet. Laura sat down on the edge of the seat. She looked at Adam and said she felt afraid. Adam said he was afraid too, but fear did not mean they would fail. Laura said she did not want Earth to think they had lost hope. She wanted to show that humanity was not weak. Adam nodded and said that Horizon 1 had returned for a reason. A soft alarm sounded, calling them back to the control room. When they arrived, the main screen displayed a frightening sight. The Empire fleet had entered the sector. It looked like a wall of metal stretching across space. The ships were large, dark, and heavily armed. The fleet moved forward with perfect formation. Nova announced that Grand Marshal was broadcasting a message. The screen shifted, showing a tall alien with sharp features and cold eyes. His armor glowed with red symbols. Spoke in a low, strong voice. He said the Empire would not allow a human experiment to threaten their power. He demanded that Horizon 1 surrender and that Earth accept Empire rule. Laura stood straight. She responded calmly. She said humanity would never surrender and that the Empire had crossed the line when it threatened innocent lives. His eyes narrowed. He said she had made her choice and the Empire would erase her and her world. The message ended. Nova reported that the fleet was preparing to fire. Adam checked the energy levels and said Horizon 1's shields could take the first wave, but after that, they needed to react fast. Laura sat in the command chair. She took a deep breath. She said they would not run. They would stand and fight. Nova powered the shields. The air in the control room hummed. The Empire ships glowed as they charged their weapons. The first wave of energy blasts launched through space, lighting up the darkness. The blasts hit Horizon 1's shields with a heavy impact. The entire ship shook. Laura gripped the armrests tightly. Adam held onto the console to steady himself. Nova reported that the shields were holding, but the next attack would be stronger. The Empire fired again, this time with more power. The shields flickered but stayed up. Laura ordered Nova to move forward. The ship rushed ahead like a streak of light. Empire ships fired rapidly, but Horizon One was too fast. It weaved through the shots, dodging them with perfect timing. Adam called out that the energy inside the ship was rising. Nova said it was using a controlled amount of dimensional energy to boost its movements. Laura told Nova to target the nearest enemy cruiser. A brilliant beam shot from Horizon One, striking the cruiser's hull. The ship exploded instantly. But there were hundreds more. Ordered all fleets to focus fire on Horizon One. The Empire ships combined their attacks, forming a massive wave of energy that rushed toward the prototype. Nova shouted a warning. Laura told the ship to brace. The wave hit. The ship's shields screamed under the pressure. The lights flickered. Alarms flashed across the screens. Adam said the core was struggling but still stable. Laura looked at the map. She knew they could not take hits like that forever. She asked Nova for options. Nova said they could use the dimensional fold again, but it would weaken the core. They could also activate the deep defense systems, but that system carried heavy risks. Adam asked what kind of risks. Nova said the system could unleash energy so strong that it might harm Horizon One itself. Laura thought quickly. She said they could not use that yet. They needed more information. Suddenly, the Empire fleet changed formation. The ships moved into a formation shaped like a spear. Adam said they were preparing for a direct strike. Nova confirmed it, wanted to pierce Horizon One's shields in one powerful attack. The fleet charged. The spear formation glowed brighter and brighter. Nova said they must move or be destroyed. Laura ordered full speed backward. Horizon One pulled away rapidly, but the fleet kept coming. Lasers and plasma streams filled the space. The sound of alarms grew louder. The ship shook again and again. Adam yelled that the shields were dropping. Nova said the next hit might break through. Laura clenched her teeth. She told Nova to fold space. Nova warned that the fold might be unstable under this much fire. Laura said they had no choice. The ship bent the space around it. The stars twisted. The energy blasts stretched like lines. A bright flash exploded. Horizon One vanished and reappeared several thousand kilometers away. Laura gasped for air, as if the jump had taken something out of her. Adam fell back into his seat, breathing hard. Nova said the core was weakening. They could not keep using the fold in rapid succession. Laura looked at the Empire fleet. They had turned and were already chasing them again. Adam said quietly that the Empire would keep coming no matter what. They would not stop. Laura understood. She knew this battle was about more than a ship. It was about Earth's future. She asked Nova if the deep defense systems could break the fleet. Nova hesitated before speaking. It said the system could destroy a major part of the Empire fleet, but using it would reveal the full power of Horizon One. Would then respond with everything he had. Laura nodded. She said they had to be ready. Outside, the Empire fleet closed in, forming a wide circle to trap them. There was no escape now. They fired constantly. The shield glowed weakly. Nova announced that shield failure was near. Laura stood up from her chair. She stared at the screen, at the glowing wall of enemy ships. She felt a cold sadness but also a firm determination. She said that humanity had never given up, even when they were small and weak. Now they had a ship that had crossed time and dimensions to protect them. They could not fail. She gave Nova the order. Activate the deep defense. Nova obeyed. The ship changed. The hull glowed with a deep silver light. Energy flowed across the surface like liquid. The air inside the control room vibrated gently. Adam watched in awe. He said the ship felt alive more than before. Nova gathered the energy inside the core. The lights dimmed. The ship slowed. The Empire ships kept firing, but the blasts dissolved before hitting the new shield. Laura held her breath. Nova released the energy. A silent wave burst from Horizon 1, spreading outward like a ripple across a calm lake. It touched the nearest Empire ships first. Their metal cracked, their engines failed, their weapons shut off. Then they exploded into dust. The wave continued, breaking more ships. Dozens of them vanished in seconds, ordered his fleet to retreat, but it was too late for many. When the wave ended, a large part of the Empire fleet was gone. But Horizon 1 dimmed. The lights flickered. Nova spoke softly and said the core was unstable. Adam ran to the console. He checked the readings and shook his head. He said the core needed time to recover or the ship could shut down. Laura stared at the screen. The remaining Empire ships regrouped. His flagship moved forward. It was huge, darker than all the others and covered in glowing symbols. Sent a final message. His voice was colder than before. He said the galaxy would not accept a human victory. He said he would destroy Horizon 1 himself. Laura looked at Adam, he looked at her, neither spoke. The final battle was coming, and they were not ready. But they had no choice. Earth depended on them. The Empire fleet that survived the Great Wave spread out and slowly formed a new formation around Horizon 1. The ships moved with careful precision. They knew now that the human prototype was powerful, far more powerful than anything they had faced before. But they also saw the dim light of the ship, the flicker of its shields, and the slowing of its movement. They understood that Horizon 1 was wounded. Inside the control room, the air felt heavy. Laura stood near the main screen, watching the Empire ships close in like a tightening ring. Adam worked quickly on the console, trying to stabilize the core. Nova spoke in a soft and slow voice, a sign that even the was struggling. Nova said the deep defense wave had pushed the core to its limit. If they tried to use the same power again too soon, the core might break. If the core broke, Horizon 1 would not survive. Laura listened carefully. She asked if they still had enough power to fight. Nova said the ship could defend itself with normal weapons, but the Empire fleet was too large for ordinary attacks. Adam turned from the console and said they needed time. Just a little time, and the core would recover enough to use a stronger defense again. But time was the one thing the Empire would never give them. The main screen lit up with another message. Grand Marshal appeared again, his expression filled with rage. His eyes burned like fire. He told Laura that she had brought shame to the Empire twice now, and he would not allow a third time. He said the prototype would be captured, and Earth would pay the price. Laura stepped closer to the screen. She told that the Empire had forgotten what humanity stood for. She said humans did not fight for control or for domination, but for survival and freedom. Glared at her and ended the message without responding. Nova warned that the fleet was preparing for a full assault. The Empire ships glowed as they charged their weapons. Adam said the shields could survive for a short time, but not for long. Laura returned to her seat. She fastened the straps across her shoulders. Adam did the same. The lights dimmed slightly as Nova redirected energy to the shields. The first wave of attacks hit them. The ship shook violently. Sparks flew from a panel near Adam. He jumped and pressed several buttons to reroute damaged circuits. The shields flickered but held. The second wave came. It was stronger. Horizon 1 tilted slightly and the lights blinked. Nova said the shields were at critical strength. Laura clenched her fists. She refused to let fear control her. She told Nova to prepare evasive maneuvers. Nova moved the ship with smooth but slower motions. The earlier damage had reduced Horizon 1's agility. Still, the ship twisted through space, dodging some blasts and absorbing others. Adam shouted that the core was slowly recovering, but they needed several more minutes before it could handle a strong attack. Laura nodded. She told Nova to keep moving, no matter how hard it became. The Empire ships closed in from all sides. Their attacks were constant now. The control room trembled repeatedly. Panels flickered. The floor shook under their feet. Nova reported hull damage in 3 sections. Adam tried to seal the damaged areas, but he could not fix everything at once. Laura stared at the screen. She saw his flagship approaching. It was almost twice the size of the other ships. Its hull was covered in red light, and its weapon systems glowed with deadly power. Adam whispered that the flagship alone could destroy a small planet. Laura took a deep breath. She asked Nova if there was any way to slow the flagship. Nova said the only option was a frontal strike, but the ship did not yet have enough core power to make it effective. The flagship fired. A massive beam shot across the darkness. Horizon 1 barely dodged, but the edge of the beam scraped the shields. The shields burst with a bright flash. Alarms rang loudly. Nova said the shields were collapsing. Adam shouted that they needed power now. Nova said the core was almost ready, but not yet stable. Laura made a decision. She told Nova to let her access the energy link. Nova hesitated and asked what she intended. Laura said she would help stabilize the core manually. Adam stared at her in shock. He said it was too dangerous. The energy inside the core was not meant for direct human interaction. Laura said they had no other choice. If they waited any longer, the flagship would destroy them. Nova opened the access path. The lights on the floor turned blue, guiding her. Adam grabbed her arm and begged her to think again. Laura placed her hand on his shoulder and told him she trusted him to keep the ship running. She walked down the glowing path. The sound of the alarms grew distant. The corridor lights brightened as she approached the core chamber. The door opened slowly. Inside, the core glowed with deep silver and blue light. It pulsed like a beating heart. The air felt warm and heavy. Nova appeared as a soft voice through the chamber. It said she must place her hands on the central interface. She must steady her breathing and remain calm, or the energy would reject her. Laura nodded. She stepped onto the platform and placed her hands on the glowing surface. A wave of warmth rushed up her arms. She felt the energy moving, pushing, resisting. She closed her eyes. She thought of Earth, of the people who lived there, of the children who played, the families who worked, the world she had sworn to protect. The core responded. The light grew brighter. The pulsing became steady. Nova said the core was stabilizing. Adam shouted from the control room that the energy levels were rising fast. Laura felt her strength fading, but she held on. She whispered that she would not let humanity fall. The core flashed once with bright white light. Nova announced that the deep defense protocol was ready. Laura released her hands and staggered back. The chamber door opened, and she walked out slowly. Her legs trembled, but she forced herself forward. When she reached the control room, Adam ran to her side and helped her sit. Nova said the time had come. The Empire fleet was preparing their final strike. The flagship's main cannon glowed red, ready to fire. The entire fleet aligned their weapons. Laura took one last breath. She ordered Nova to activate the total nullification protocol. Nova obeyed. The ship fell silent. The lights dimmed to a soft silver. The hull shifted and expanded with shimmering patterns. Adam looked around in awe. Laura watched the screen without blinking. A sphere of pure white light formed around Horizon 1. It grew larger and brighter until the Empire fleet was covered in its glow. And then the light exploded outward. It was silent but powerful. The energy wave moved across every enemy ship. Their weapons melted. Their engines died. Their hulls cracked and dissolved into small particles. Its flagship held on for a moment longer. Its shields flickered wildly. Appeared on one last message, screaming that the Empire would never bow to humans. But his signal ended as the flagship broke apart. When the light faded, the entire Empire fleet was gone. Only Horizon 1 remained. The stars slowly returned to view. The silence felt heavy but peaceful. Adam sat back in his chair, breathing hard. He said it was over. Laura closed her eyes. She felt both relief and sadness. She knew many lives had been lost, even if they were enemies. Nova spoke calmly. It said the Empire no longer had the power to strike at Earth. The defeat of S's fleet would break their leadership. Without their strongest ships, the Empire would collapse. Laura asked if Horizon 1 would survive. Nova said the core needed a long rest, but the ship would recover. Adam smiled weakly. He said the galaxy would never forget what happened here. Laura sat quietly. She looked at the stars, she thought of Earth, she thought of the future. Nova said humanity was now free to shape its own path. Horizon 1 would remain as a guardian. Laura nodded. She knew the galaxy had changed forever. She whispered softly that no matter how dark the universe became, humanity would always rise again. And Horizon 1 drifted gently through space, a silent protector, a symbol of what humans could become when they refused to break.